What's going on, everybody? You got JT here with JT Invest in You. We got David over at Crypto for Change, and we got C Will over at the Passive Income Network. What's going on, everybody?
What's
Nothing
good?
much. Just watching the market, buying more algo, watching Bitcoin. Obviously, got a big conference going down in Miami, not too far away from me. So I'm not there physically, but still watching it online, tracking what's going on.
Yeah, and I'm
Hell yeah.
just, I'm here to talk algo.
Of course, all things Algorand, always.
Yeah,
Right.
What are you
yeah.
guys
Let's
seeing
definitely
out
talk
there?
Bitcoin too.
Yeah, why don't we start off with that real quick? Because I know, David, you said you're watching the Bitcoin conference. What are you seeing over there? Just illuminate us. I haven't been watching any of it.
At least from today, obviously, there's been a lot of big speakers. Kathy Wood. I didn't actually get to watch the Kathy Wood, Michael Saylor bit. I pretty much heard Michael Saylor says what Michael Saylor says, which is, he's obviously always bullish on Bitcoin, never been more bullish, all that stuff. It was interesting to see what Kathy Wood. I actually really am intrigued on her views on cryptocurrency as a whole, mainly because I live in St. Pete and she's moving her headquarters from New York to St. Pete. So obviously she's going to have a huge influence, I feel, of the area I live in as far as crypto adoption, whether that's just Bitcoin or obviously, the greater market of Bitcoin and Ethereum and Algorand and all DeFi. So obviously those conversations were pretty good. There were some big things there. I think one of the biggest news breaks was Mexico. One of the billionaires, like one of the richest guys in Mexico, announced that he's going to I think he's a senator, and he's announcing legislation to make Bitcoin legal tender. So kind of like El Salvador, but obviously for Mexico. So that could be huge. Obviously, it's just, announcing that the legislation is going to be introduced. So we don't really know, how long something like that might take to actually come to fruition. But that was some of the big news. I watched the Cash App CEO guy. He talked this morning just about how Cash App is actually integrating to make it easier for people to get Bitcoin. And this is like, I had that tweet pinned about how I think we could still possibly be in see a blow off top this year in 2022 for Bitcoin. Obviously, I would think alts would follow as well and have a good run. I think it's leading into that. I mean, stuff like Cash App, making it easy to not only I don't use Cash App to get my paycheck, but if you do, they're going to integrate a way where you can just easily select on a slider the amount of or the percentage of your paycheck that you want to get paid in Bitcoin, and it's zero fees to do that. So that's huge. And then obviously, if you're spending on the Cash App and you're using your card, you can round up, the cents to buy Sats. So if you got, if it's a purchase of $7.50, you can round up that other 50 cents and buy 50 cents worth of Bitcoin. So it's the thing we all know has to happen, like mass adoption. People, can get into crypto easier without so much of the nuances and the obstacles that we face, like having to learn about a wallet, having to learn about opting into smart contracts, having to learning how to send and do all this stuff. Like it has to get easier for the mainstream, and I think you're seeing that. And obviously, the Bitcoin conference is, it's got all the big hitters. I mean, Aaron Rodgers, Serena Williams, and Odell Beckham. It has the studs, the stars out there doing their job to promote it and make people more apt to want to get behind it, because obviously no one wants to trust politicians and no one wants to trust some shady guy who's just a billionaire. But everybody, you like your favorite sports players, and if they're buying it and if they're using it, well, that's going to make other people want to use it. And so, I think it's all bullish for the space. And that's really all I kind of saw as far as
I got a
actually,
question, David.
yeah, go ahead.
Did anybody bring up or mention what's going on in Wyoming right now with a
No,
Bitcoin
or well, at
legislation?
least not that I noticed. I didn't see anything. What's going on in Wyoming?
So basically, there's senators out there that are trying to make Wyoming like the center place for Bitcoin mining and for Bitcoin, basically. So it's they have a huge industry for drilling oil and mining
Yeah,
and things of that nature. So they're already friendly to those type of activities, but now they
right.
are pushing for Bitcoin mining, and that's
See,
huge. If
yeah, I
they do
wonder
that, it'll
because there's so many states in the U.S. I mean, there's even literally cities. I mean, I haven't done this research in a while, but I remember, maybe 6 months, a year ago, reading articles about certain cities, especially when me and my wife were thinking about moving in the U.S. that are actually paying people to move there. And I wonder if that's like some of these smaller areas trying to, you know, woo and bring that tech just to kind of help out their, their area and capitalize on some of that. Because you got to think, you have Miami, who's, they're obviously wanting to become, with the mayor Francis Suarez being such a proponent for Bitcoin and just crypto in general. Like, you're going to have these cities in the United States, across the world, that are going to be, the front runners of where crypto is adopted. And then you're going to have all these other areas that maybe, because of just the people who live there and they're leery of it, or the politicians that are there that don't like it, where it might take longer to get adopted. And you wonder if those places are going to fall behind on the greater economic scale.
Yeah, I mean, whoever listens to Elizabeth Warren, Senator Warren, is definitely going to fall behind, because she's either playing like a con game, or she totally does not know what's going on with cryptocurrency at all.
Yeah, I honestly think she has no idea what's going on, to be honest. I can't imagine that, like, you could say some of the things she says if she has any idea what's going on in the space. But regardless, what are you guys doing for governance? We haven't spoken too much about governance, but what do you guys plan on doing for it?
Right now, I have all of my algos on AlgoFi. Have not made my decision. I actually have quite a few people, obviously, that I've got into Algorand that are asking me, what am I doing, so they can maybe help them make their decision on what they're doing.
Yeah.
I mean, obviously, I do use AlgoFi for leverage, and I like that. So I do think, as the days tick down, I think we got like 7 days, 6 days to make our final decisions. I do think I'm going to use AlgoFi. I'm still waiting. I think Folks Finance just launched their program today, or at least it should come live today. So I am interested in checking that out. And even one of the questions over here says, how will the affect the end of the Aeneas program liquidity on AlgoFi, I guess, affect everything. So they got a grant, or whatever you want to call it, from the foundation to help boost, people using their platform, as well as PactFi. So, I definitely want to use these platforms while there are these extra rewards, that obviously the foundation has put, pumping algos out into the market. So I want to capitalize on that. But honestly, I've not fully made up my mind. But I'm leaning more towards, vaulting on AlgoFi at the current rate, and then obviously leveraging, what I can during the, governance period. What about you, C. Will?
Well, what I did already was put all of my algos onto AlgoFi, and then I'm waiting until the last day of governance to see where the APY is at, and I'm gonna buy more, most likely.
Okay.
And then I'm gonna, if the price stays low, I'm gonna long algo more. So I'm gonna take out a loan in a stable, buy more algos, and I'm gonna supply it back into my lending platform. I'm gonna write this baby out.
I mean, hey, if we're in a, if obviously, if the whole market does continue to be bullish for the next few months, which I hope and feel like it should, especially April. I know it's looking that way. I know he's definitely way better at technical analysis than me, and I take a lot of my advice from him and watch him. But
hey, don't take advice from me. Don't do that.
I'm telling you, like we were talking before, I follow the shit out of Bitcoin.
It's educational content only, David.
Right.
Exactly.
Yep.
Yeah, I mean, that's what everybody says. That's what I say. C. Will says, but
no, it's what it is. It's not. It's what it is.
It's true. I entertain, but Bitcoin and billionaires, I think, is the key to this whole thing. So how many, like, I follow Michael Saylor. I'm always talking about him, but him, Jack Dorsey, and I almost said Jack Ma, but Jack Dorsey, they are all pushing and they're educating every billionaire, right? So you get one billionaire at a time, but their market cap, their influence and money is way bigger. So so Jack Dorsey, he took responsibility, I think, for getting Tesla on and Elon Musk, and then they're going to continue this fold, and we get more like European billionaires that want Bitcoin. It's just a snowball effect. Bitcoin then rolls over to altcoins.
Yeah. I am interested, obviously, JT, to hear what your plan is for governance, and then I want to ask a question, kind of get your all's idea after that.
Yeah, sure. My plan is relatively similar to C. Will's plan. I have pretty much all of my Algorand on AlgoFi currently. I do have a plan to take out a small bit of that and bring it over to Folks Finance, though, just because I want to keep the majority of it on AlgoFi, just because you control your vote, where on Folks Finance you're kind of delegating your vote to Folks Finance in exchange for G Algo, so it's a little bit of a different structure. But I see some strategies that could unfold by having Algorand and G Algorand, and maybe even supplying liquidity to those because they are pretty much the same exact asset, so you won't suffer from any impermanent loss with them likely. So there just seems like interesting strategies I want to try. Plus, they're giving out some Algorand for the person that comes up with the most interesting strategy. And PactFi also announced that they're going to be joining that and adding more rewards to that. So whoever comes up with the best strategy will be rewarded well. So I'm gonna mess around over there as well. But the majority will be on AlgoFi. I do think I am also going to take out I'm going to borrow some more Algorand just to put it into my governance stash, just to get the extra rewards, and then at the end of the cycle, give the Algorand I borrowed back. But yeah, AlgoFi is like 95% of it probably.
Yep. Trying to read if any of the questions over here or anything we want to answer real quick.
Yeah, sure. I'm keeping an eye on it if you want to ask the question that you
so
mentioned before.
and obviously this kind of comes on the heels of the Bitcoin conference, just listening to some of these people talk about, and these guys are people who probably, been in crypto, been in Bitcoin for, years, way longer than I've been in crypto. And I would assume most people who are buying it right now anyway. And, when you hear them talk about this future of, the dollar and, where Bitcoin's going, I'm interested. What are your all's thoughts? If you can, you look 10 years down the road, we look to past 2030, what do you see as far as, where do you think crypto in general could be from an Algorand standpoint, and from a Bitcoin standpoint? Like, what are you guys thinking, could unfold in that amount of time?
I think 2030 could be a pretty interesting time for the crypto space. By then, I think it'll be relatively or pretty mature at that point. I'm not with the rest of the Bitcoin maxis or really crypto maxis in the sense that a specific crypto is going to overtake fiat. And I think there's a reason why they're actually doing a light hand touch on stable coins, because the United States actually sees stable coins as a way to continue U.S. Dollar dominance in the space, because most of the stable coins are dollar denominated. But that being said, I could totally see more central banks using Bitcoin as a reserve asset and maybe, backing some of their fiat with assets like Bitcoin in the future. I could see a huge role with crypto in that sense. Maybe not Bitcoin, maybe something else comes up along the line. But that being said, I think it'll be also great for Algorand, because hopefully it is powering the future of finance at that point. And, all the coins will be in circulation. So it'll be a very scarce asset by 2030. So I think it's pretty bullish from here till then. It could be a rocky ride till we get there. It's never a straight line up. You could have a bad year, you could have 2 bad years, but that doesn't mean the next 8 aren't going to be great when you average it together.
Right.
Yep.
See, what do you think?
Yeah, I think definitely a lot what JT said. And I would add, like, when I think about global currencies, right? Every country essentially has a currency. I don't know how many that is. Let's say 200 currencies. Some of them fell off and adopted the dollar. And now we're seeing Bitcoin being adopted as well. So we're going to have, I think personally, it will be Bitcoin would be that one global currency. But Bitcoin, again, pulls all the altcoins with it. So I feel like in terms of like global liquidity, Bitcoin will have the most liquidity. And then you'll have a whole bunch of baskets of currencies, cryptos that governments will use. And definitely, JT says stable coins will probably be half of that pot, because that I feel will be best used for transactions.
Yeah.
And the US dollar will only get stronger, I think.
Yeah. So do you guys think or I guess, what are your all's thoughts on CBDCs by that time? Is that still something that is going to be in like experimental phase, or more in development in smaller countries?
Look at China. Right now, they got, I think, 30 million people using the digital yuan. That's essentially a CBDC. And they're testing it. So if China goes full billion, that's already a billion right there. That would be a proven use case. Other countries could adopt. I feel like they'll buy digital yuan too. Yeah. I'll buy some. Like, why not?
I've heard that it's actually the rollout of that isn't going as great as they expected, but I think that's to be expected with anything. When you try to roll out something that massive, you're going to have some hiccups. But I don't know. Have you seen the bill, or I think it's like a bill that Ted Cruz tried to put forth in the Congress or he's trying to get a vote on, that's essentially making it so CBDCs would only be able to be transacted like between central banks and like Federal Reserve banks within the Federal Reserve network and wouldn't be privately issued or publicly issued to public citizens. So we would still transact with like stable coins, but they would settle in a CBDC because it would be better for them to settle, but still give us the ability to maintain our privacy, really.
That
I,
sounds.
Yeah, I'm like,
I just don't try. I just don't know if the government really wants us to have privacy.
no, the government definitely not. But I would much more support a CBDC that was just transacted by banks as sort of like a settlement layer, and we still maintain some privacy to our transactions. Because right now, if there was a CBDC enacted that and the public had access to the CBDCs, and that was it. There was no cash. There was just CBDCs. They could essentially control every single transaction you make on like a very literal level. People say that you kind of can now, but it's much more difficult. They could make your money disappear. They could have your money be inflationary, deflationary, like a timed out. You could have like this money's only good for 60 days, 30 days, 20 days. Like
freezes, all that stuff.
there are so many things you could do with programmable money, and honestly, like it's weird how excited some of the space is for a CBDC just because it'll be built potentially on their blockchain. Because I think I still think the cons will outweigh the pros if it's for everyday people. I mean, granted, if it happens, it happens, and I do hope it happens on the blockchain. I am heavily invested in, but I am also okay with them never happening.
Yeah. And the reason why I even kind of got to that question is actually the book right behind you, the Bitcoin Standard. The guy who wrote that book was just talking at the Bitcoin conference, right before I hopped on this call. And so some of the stuff he was pointing out, there you go. I gotta get it and read it. But some of the stuff he was pointing out just about, where he sees Bitcoin going and why obviously the detriments he sees in fiat currencies and things like that. And it is interesting to think of a future where, it is that, but it's not that far fetched because of how everything is becoming more digital. Like,
But what's up with the ISOs, like the ISSOs? I feel like those would be the bank's digital currencies or potentially play some type of role.
Well, they definitely, a lot of those have the infrastructure or the groundwork foundation
that it can be built upon.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, and I don't think any of those assets will be used as a currency. They're too volatile. Even in the future, they'll likely still be too volatile. So it'll be a stable coin either on Algorand or one of these other blockchains or a CBDC. I'm hoping that private citizens can still use stable coins because I think it's good to have competition in the market, and there shouldn't just be one central currency. I think it's really good that we have many different options for stable coins, and I think it should really stay that way, to be honest.
What about NATO coin? I think they'll make a NATO coin where like Western alliances have their own one coin.
Like the one world order or whatever.
Yeah,
they'll just lift the veil and just actually call it petrodollar and just.
Livio, our life says, he's watching the Bitcoin conference. If Bitcoin will be regulated, who will stop the mining companies from taking control of the blockchain? I think this is also a worry about that a lot of people I think have about Bitcoin is like, Bitcoin is for billionaires. Bitcoin is just the money it's going to be the money of the elite, of the rich one day. What are your all's thoughts there?
Let me chime in. Like, check this out. People don't know who's actually mining Bitcoin. ExxonMobil, right? It's the oil companies are doing massive oil mining or Bitcoin mining. That it's the same people. So yes, it's definitely a currency of the billionaires, but we have an opportunity to get some before it skyrockets to 100,000 or 1 million. So I think the opportunity is there, but it's definitely a currency of the elite.
I mean, it is just kind of a symptom of capitalism. You're running a system where the capital controls everything, and even in the most decentralized attempts, you'll still have large influence by people with large capital. That I would still argue that even in that instance, Bitcoin would be much more decentralized than the U.S. dollar or a CBDC. But yeah, there is of course still centralization risk in anything where capital can control a majority stake.
Yeah,
like you look at Twitter, like Elon Musk just clearly bought in on Twitter. Now he's sitting on the board, so it's like
that was a pretty baller move, though. I'm not gonna lie.
It was. So, but I see that too. It's like as soon as he, like Kevin O'Leary, like he on the same thing. He's buying up mining companies and he's buying up the infrastructure of Bitcoin plus buying Bitcoin. So, and then of course Michael Saylor and all the people we already talked about, but they're doing it. So it's becoming a capitalist coin.
Here's another question I have for you guys, and this is obviously, just in light of kind of the broader crypto market, but also Algorand, because we talk about, especially on all of our channels, but here on live as well,
Shout out to Algo.
What's holding Algorand back from, mooning and being a crypto that's more talked about, more used, and obviously with the tech that's behind it. Stacey Warden just said, she's been hyping up that this month coming in a month, there's going to be a lot of, marketing spent on Algorand. And you look at Bitcoin, right, with mining and how much the miners make off of, especially if you were mining Bitcoin early, but even now, how much you can make if you have the money to invest in these machines. There's a lot of money there, right, to making it. Then you look at Ethereum, right? If you're a validator, you're earning massive amounts of money off of all the fees of the users of Ethereum when they're sending transactions back and forth. And then you look at Algorand, right? And this is one of the glaring things I feel like, and the reason why, it's going to take a lot for Algorand to really get to being talked about as one of those top cryptocurrencies, is where's the money going to be made from,
I see it like this. If they want to blow up the marketing, by Snoop, by Kevin Hart, by 4 or 5 celebrities, you're good. Like guaranteed, you're good. All you gotta do is buy The Rock, and if he talks about
right. But what I'm saying is, what's gonna bring the people who have the big money like Elon Musk, Michael Saylor, Kevin O'Leary, those guys to actually invest, because those guys invest in things that they can make an ROI on.
A great DApp that interests them, because you already see it happening with Elon's brother. He saw a great DApp happening on Algorand and he invested in it, and that brought more attention to Algorand. If all of a sudden something comes up that solves a great problem and it's built on Algorand and it catches Elon's attention or anybody popular's attention, I mean, it's game over at that point. And in my opinion, that's one of the reasons why I'm very glad that they're putting millions more dollars into developer tools and whatnot, because Algorand needs to have a real developer suite of tools that people can come here and be like, oh, this is how I build. It's not as easy right now. Like, it's still like you have people coming over here and going like, where do I find the information I need to start building? So I think that'll be absolutely great. But to your prior question, I really do think it comes down to TVL. I mean, our TVL to market cap ratio in January was 62, and the closer to 0, the better. So 62 is not that great. And now
recently we were like, what, 30 or 40 with the recent, uptick in Folks Finance and AlgoFi and stuff like that.
Right now on DeFi Llama, we're now at 33, so we cut it in half. We're making some headwinds. Still not great, because you compare it to like Ethereum and let's see who else. You compare it to Ethereum, Terra. You got like 2.8, 1.2. So obviously those are much more fairly valued or even undervalued by the market, at least in terms of TVL. But Algorand, at least on DeFi Llama, is still only tracking AlgoFi, PactFi, what else? Tinyman and Yieldy. So it's not tracking Folks Finance yet, and I believe they have like $5 to $8 million on it. It's not tracking Humble Swap yet, and I know they pulled their liquidity, but I believe when they come back on, they'll still have that around 10 million that they had before. And I just found out buying.com has them around $8 million staked on their platform. So hopefully more and more players will get their TVL tracked on DeFi Llama, because right now DeFi Llama says we're at $161 million, but I know for a fact it's closer to about $200 million, and I would love for that. I would love for it to be reflected, yeah, because then a 5x, we get to $1 billion. That market cap to TVL ratio is then back to a fairly valued or even undervalued metric. There's a lot of attention to the space because we just reached $1 billion. I think that is exactly what's needed, and we're on the way there. I honestly think if you have any ins with a project that's building right now that has any sort of TVL, have them reach out to DeFi Llama so it can be tracked by the broader ecosystem. Because it's one thing if we all know about it, but if nobody else in the rest of the ecosystem knows about it, the attention won't be drawn over here if we keep it all a secret.
Thanks. Yeah, I got 2 questions. What is buying.com? That's one.
It's like this weird marketplace that's trying to kind of be like an Amazon. They have like 2 or 3 day shipping and delivery for things and whatnot. It's an e-commerce site essentially with the buy token.
Okay, another question for y'all. Have y'all heard of Wayru? which is like the internet.
Yeah, the decentralized internet type thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've been following them. I actually just joined their little wait list on their NFT that they're giving out, seeing
Okay.
how that goes.
So the reason I bring that up, because I think that project is very, very important. Latin America and Africa. If we can get that project or anything similar, but that one seems really unique because I haven't heard anything other than that than helium or something of that sort. But if we can get that project to blow up, help support Latin America, bring 1 billion users on, help support Africa, bring another 1 billion users on, and
Yeah,
particularly Nigeria in particular, because they're super heavy and strong in crypto and blockchain. They got
yeah,
300 million people, just as much as America, and their population is like under the age of 20 on average or some shit like that. So they're
yeah.
younger and they have more growth. If we can get more places involved with blockchain, I feel like Algorand would be that blockchain to use because of the fee system. They won't be able to use Ethereum, so that's already out the window by fees. So I'm thinking Elon Musk, to round this back to Elon Musk, he's already building Starlink. So
Yeah.
he has the ability and the infrastructure with these satellites to plug in the blockchain globally. I think that'll be the push.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, I remember watching a Charles Hoskinson's TED talk about just how many people don't have access to the internet. I mean, that's
Yes.
kind of the whole. If we're early and we're really early, the tall tale sign of that is that if we can actually get all these people who don't use the internet on the internet, and then the unbanked become banked. That's because
Yes.
that's billions upon billions of people that would have access to financial instruments, obviously, hopefully on the DeFi side, and
Yes.
using blockchain. But regardless, that's massive amounts of money and wealth right there.
Like how it was broken down to me by Charvel. He's gonna hop on my channel soon, but basically he said Latin America and a lot of these third world countries, they leap past technologies. So now, since they didn't have like landline phones, they jumped directly to smartphones, and you know what I'm saying. And it's like
Yeah.
they don't have the internet, so they're gonna go directly to blockchain. Like, so
Yeah.
there a lot of these countries and populations will skip technology that we went through every phase. So I feel like they're going to go from directly to Wi-Fi to blockchain with one phone.
But that's also where, like, even hearing, a lot of the live conferences with Adi from Zone in India and Dubai and that area, and also obviously Latin America. I mean, I've been to third world countries. It's like these countries and the people who live there. I mean, I don't know El Salvador, and I've never been there, but like, there's no way these countries can use blockchains like Ethereum until they're affordable enough to actually operate on, and not be paying such high gas fees, or the network possibly being down. And that's where obviously Algorand with its tech, if the marketing can do what it needs to do, and become what we all think it can become. I mean, that's where the user ability of something like Algorand could be massive.
Like, I need Tom Brady to build a dApp on Algorand. That's how you do it. Because I was seeing how, like, Twitter posts with was it Serena Williams and Aaron Rodgers. Everybody was loving that on Bitcoin.
Yeah. I mean, and it was really cool to hear, from some of those guys, and Serena. But at the end of the day, they are hype. They're just regular people who are obviously they're multimillionaires and billionaires, but they're still buying it and they're still supporting it. And that's what Algorand really doesn't have, is anyone who's at that high of a level. I mean, I know Stacy was also tweeting out that she's super excited for Earth Day, and obviously I know Algorand's big pull is that it's green, it's carbon negative, and it's going to be the green blockchain for the future. But let's be honest, and it just doesn't that doesn't bring in the big money right now, which is, maybe it should, and it should be a bigger thing that people worry about with the environment. But I mean, obviously you can tell with people, doing Bitcoin and proof of work and things like that, that they're not as worried about, the green. So I am interested to see what kind of news is going to drop on Earth Day, and what partnership or marketing, ploy that might be. But it's interesting.
Did y'all hear about MetaMask and Apple partnership?
Mm-mm.
So they're trying to bring. I got to do more research on it. From my understanding, they're trying to do a partnership where you can basically do crypto off your iPhone with MetaMask integration. That sounds scary because MetaMask is trash, but Algorand.
It is.
You know what I'm saying is like Algorand gotta talk to Samsung and they need to talk to Apple and then figure out some type of deal because I see they did it with Ukraine to get Ukraine to accept algos. So I think just those type of things helps. I mean, beyond TVL, those type of partnerships are good for mass adoption.
For sure, for sure. It's easier to, I feel like, to get those deals though once the money's already over here on main chain,
Facts.
which is one of the reasons why even though Ethereum is objectively not the best technology, they still dominate the space because that's where the money is currently. And I think it's going to stay there until the merge, at least. Hopefully, hopefully it goes decent enough that everyone doesn't like lose their money. But I just suspect that it's not going to go as well as people think that, it's rallying or has like a strong price action leading up to it, but I don't think the merge is going to be as good as people expect. But going back to Algo, I just shared this a little bit, and one of the good things about TVL, even though as you can see here, we've never reached that 2021 high, or actually January 2nd, 2022
Is that
high
the
of.
hack?
Yeah, that was right when Tiny Man was hacked. $237 million was our TVL at that point. So we haven't reached that point yet in dollar value. But one thing that's interesting when you switch over to Algo, we have reached an all-time high when calculated in Algorand.
So
So
the
this is
price
actually
increased.
this is actually pretty interesting because this means if Algorand gets back to say like $1.50 or even $2, if it got back to $2 and we just maintained this level, the TVL already would be like $410 million just at this current level with zero
Yeah.
growth whatsoever. So that's actually a pretty good sign because that just means once the market turns around, DeFi is getting more use. So even though the dollar value is down in TVL, DeFi is still growing by algo value. It's still more and more people are using it. So once the token price turns around, the TVL is going to shoot up like
So
dramatically.
let me
Yeah.
ask this then, as we're talking the TVL, and obviously with governance coming so close, because one of the things I've always wondered, especially right now, if I go over and I look at the governance page, right now 921.8 million algos are committed for governance on with the site right now. 28,000 governors, and then you go over to AlgoFi and you look at the vault right now, 29,
Like
close to
30.
30
Yeah.
million algos are committed. I want to know what are the whale, what whales that are out there. Obviously, guys like Scaramucci, Borderless Capital. I know they're putting all of their money into building out the infrastructure of the DeFi ecosystem and helping these decentralized applications get launched. What are your all's thoughts on are they using? Do you guys think they're using any of these, or are they just strictly just doing it out of their wallets for security reasons? What are your all's thoughts?
I
Well,
think. Go ahead, JT.
I just think, especially right, it's too early to tell because we noticed the last couple times the whales, the bigger ones, were kind of the last ones to commit, and there's still probably about 2 billion more algo waiting to be committed. There was about 3 billion last cycle, and I don't really see why there wouldn't be about the same this cycle. So, that could go anywhere. There's even if 500 million went into a couple of these apps, it would be absolutely gigantic, and it very well still could happen. There's plenty of time, so I'm not ready to be like, oh, why hasn't this flown into DeFi yet? Just because I think I really do think the whales are kind of the late movers. They want to get all the time they can, like just to not be behind those smart contracts. I think you know what I mean.
Right.
So my question would be, if y'all know, we got governance quarter 1, 2, and we're on our third. What was the
Yep.
prices on quarter 1 and 2?
What was the what?
Price of algo.
Certainly
Algo
higher.
on the first one was, that was when we were like,
I think that was the peak, pretty much.
yeah, that was like
Roughly.
right, that was above $2.
Yeah.
And then obviously the second one was, Algo is in the middle, in the range between the dollar and obviously now under it.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, unfortunately, it hasn't been too bullish yet during the first two governance periods, but I mean that also is with the rest of the market. I mean, we follow Bitcoin's price action pretty steadily, so it's not like Algo is singled out in that.
Plus, we were even talking about it, not on the live, but we mentioned, Algorand obviously was feeling the effects of, every currency was feeling the effects of the bear market, but the Tiny Man hack did not help at all because at the time that was the only DEX that Algorand had that was the only really way of swapping ASAs and really using your algo at the time outside of maybe Yieldly. And obviously it was going through its own struggles. And then now, we're seeing this rebound like you showed on DeFi Llama with, the value going back up. There's, more value in algos now. So we just need the price to go up. And I think that's also where, we have a lot of trust right now in the decentralized apps that are out there with AlgoFi and Humble and Pact and TinyMan now. Hopefully it's more robust that we don't see something like that happen again to stifle this growth and we can actually see it, come to fruition, get back to all-time highs, and then Algorand can be, start being talked about with some of the bigger ones like Solana, Cardano, Avalanche, Polygon, stuff like that.
Yeah. Unfortunately, TinyMan and Yieldly kind of never really recovered in their TVL. The TVL is getting back on track almost single-handedly because of AlgoFi.
Which is kind of a glaring, thing as well, because obviously that's the thing that can't happen right now. I feel like for Algorand, especially with everything being bullish in the whole crypto ecosystem, like AlgoFi cannot go down, get hacked, exploited, anything like that, or who knows what can happen, honestly.
Yeah, this is TinyMan right here, and you can see it was at about 44 million when it peaked, and now it's at about 21 million. So it's about half it's got about half the TVL it had before its exploit at the beginning of the year. And then you can see Yieldly, and this is actually inflated because if anyone's gone to the Yieldly page, the price that they're tracking is from Uniswap, which is like more than double any other exchange, which makes absolutely no sense. So this TVL is actually like half of what it is. It's saying like 31 million, but it's actually probably closer to $16 million.
Yeah, even one of my friends was showing me his balance. He said, "So this is how much I have." I'm like, "No, you actually don't, because that's tracking the wrong price. You have like a third of that."
Well, so why
it's crazy because sorry, what would you say?
It's like, why and how are they doing that? They're giving.
I have no idea. They're giving the
price on a different platform that we can't really get.
Yeah, no, you can't. The Uniswap, the ERC20 Yieldlies are completely pointless because there's no bridge to and from them. They're just stranded over there on Uniswap. Because I actually wanted to arbitrage them the other day because they were like 2.5 times more expensive than any other exchange that you could get on Algorand, and it was worth it with all the fees because of how much more money it was. But you literally just couldn't bring them over there. But as you can see here, I mean, Yieldly had a whopping like 162 million just about TVL around the same time as the hack, and it's saying it's 31 million right now, but really it's about 16 million, dude. It's lost like 90% of its TVL and has not recovered whatsoever.
Yeah, and I think a lot of it also goes, burn. Oh. Yeah, I was going to say, I mean, it goes down to the, if you pull up Yieldly right now, they have most of their staking pools are about to end in 2 days. Now, I did see some of the people from the community saying that there's going to be new staking pools coming, but, staking these community coins is not going to, be, I don't know. I mean, I don't want to be bearish on Yieldly because I want them to succeed, but I want to see something come from them that, kind of like they had when they first started with the no loss lottery, like something unique, that they could have on their own to attract these people. And maybe it is going to be, this Polygon bridge when they get the thing going. I don't know. The burn, obviously, it wasn't a lot. It was, you were telling us yesterday, it's like $30,000 worth of Yieldly that they burned, which is not anything really in the grand scheme of things.
It was 0.1% of their supply, which is...
I thought it was 0.01. Or was it 0.9?
Yeah, it got to be 0.01, right?
Let's see. 10 divided by 10,000 times 100. No, it's 0.1. 0.1%. But yeah, let's see which still is absolutely nothing. It was literally $30,000 worth of Yieldly, which is not going to be enough to affect any price change.
And now it seems like they're going back with this Cosmic Champs, like they're because they dropped off their launch pad off their roadmap, and now it looks like they're going back to this launch pad being what they're going to build. And I don't know, it's just interesting to see the overall Yieldly process so far.
Hey, so JT, look at this though. Right. If you pull up the price chart on Coin Market Cap, it's 0.00309.
Yeah.
And over here it's 0.0. It's like almost triple.
Almost 3x. Yeah.
That's a trick.
Yeah. Yep. Which also means that you have to like divide by 3 on its TVL to get a close to accurate metric, which means they're at like 10, $15 million TVL when they were at 161, which is kind of wild actually when you really think about it.
And they still have some of the TVL. If you look over and you just click on Algo prize game, there's still some liquidity literally sitting in a useless no loss lottery. It's not
Wow, they really
anything.
there still is $3.5 million just sitting there.
Wow, it's probably
which I guess would be closer to 1 million something if it's going off those numbers. But still, yeah.
Well, no, because this is just Algorand, so I mean that's probably accurate. But I'm talking all these staking pools that like this $1.7 billion it's 1.7 billion yieldy right here, and the 52 million yieldy. Like all of these prices are being tracked by this 0.0086 price that Yieldly has on their page, when really you look at tiny charts and it's saying 0.003. So like you said,
market.
Yeah, it's reading as like triple more right now, which means this TVL is certainly inflated, and it's unfortunately not even 32 million. It's like I said, probably like 15, 16,
maybe 12.
Yeah.
Yeah, I have not been using Yieldly since I sold mine and obviously didn't want to ride the storm that a lot of us kind of saw. Obviously kind of saw it last, but I'm still it's crazy to see, because I even think about this right now, and we kind of talked about it last time, that doesn't mean it's gone forever. Smilecoin, with their release, I saw an article which I'm not gonna. It's the article or the headline reads "PayPal killer." I mean, I feel like everything says they're the PayPal killer these days. But SDK converts platforms to Web3 in 10 lines of code. So Smilecoin was something that I know a lot of people had wrote off, in the Algorand ecosystem a while back, and just kind of forgot about it. I have kept tabs on it. I've not bought any of Smilecoin, but there's still. Obviously, I feel like the hype that they had maybe was a detriment to them. And then once they lost all that and kind of, maybe the developers kind of just got down to the bones of it and were like, you know what, let's just build a working project. Let's just get back down to what we were excited about and build something that's usable. And then we'll let all the price and the hype for the coin or whatever it is follow. So you could see something like that with Smilecoin. I mean, the price has definitely gone up like massive amount the past 3-4 weeks, and it could continue to go if something like Smilecoin can be a quote unquote PayPal killer, or something that actually is adopted and used. But there is still hope for Yieldly. I don't want to come across as someone who thinks that Yieldly's just in its grave and is down for the count. And obviously I feel like if Borderless and some of the bigger investors are still talking with them and working with them, I hope they have something coming out in the near future that will wow, the Algorand ecosystem and be usable.
Yeah, I agree. Like, I'm looking at some of the comments. Smile is down.
Yeah, me and Sewell were talking about that. We were like, he said he was up 80%, but down like 200%. Yeah.
Yep.
And that's the thing. It's like, you may be up, and that's why I'm not chasing it. I'm not buying Smile right now, because you don't chase green. That's, if you were looking to buy Smile, you would have bought it 3-4 weeks ago, and you'd have been building your position. You'd probably be exiting right now, but it's not financial advice.
Yeah, it's like someone else says, PayPal killer is a bad marketing. I'm like, you came at like, no, that's as bad, because PayPal is billions. Like they're doing it.
But I'll also say this: I know people who are actually leaving PayPal. They don't see the obviously I think PayPal is not going to be this giant that it has been in the past. I think there's going to be stuff that comes in the DeFi side and Web3 that's going to take over it. But nonetheless, like
or Apple
like
buys them out.
Do what?
I say, or Apple just buys them out, because that's like,
yeah. I mean, obviously,
all
stuff like that.
Buying everybody out. So it's DeFi and Apple. Algorand the best way to do it, in my opinion. Yes, Ryan McDonald. No financial advice, but yes.
Yeah, not financial advice whatsoever. That's for sure.
Yeah.
One of the people said, if more people join the governance, will we earn more from it in rewards? Technically, the more people who become governors and the more algos that are committed, the less the rewards obviously you would receive, because there's a fixed amount each period that are given out. Right now, it's 70.5 million rewards. Yeah, 70.5 million algos are given out in the next governance period. Yeah, show us some hopium right here.
Yeah, this is what I'm really hoping for. I mean, nobody can predict the future this far out, that's for sure, but I am hoping for something like this, and primarily because, sorry, there's a little bit of lag on this. This website takes up so much energy, and so does the live stream, that there's a little bit of a lag. But let's see. If you can see in the past, we've had similar structures, these nice cups right here, this nice cup right here. Um, let's see, let me make this trend line a little bit bigger so you can see. These are the trend lines that we've been following in since, let's see.
Since COVID started, right? March 2020.
Yeah, since about March 2020, we've been in this trend. I mean, we're falling below it a little bit, but I do have hopes that we can sling back up into it and then hopefully hit the top of it, and that would be our blow off top scenario potentially around August or so. Of course, no promises. It could never happen. We could not get a blow off top anymore. That could be the end of blow off tops. Who knows? But I do think because all crypto cycles have ended in a blow off top before, that we're still likely to get one. I also do think that we're due for a recession sometime over the next year or two. So if it were to happen, it would likely be before the end of this year that we get the blow off top. But that being said, it would be it would be pretty sweet. This hopium would be great if we had that blow off top around $10, $11. It would be a game changer right now. Everyone wouldn't be complaining about the price action at that point.
I'll be in Dubai this year.
Yeah, I'd be taking profit, and that's the thing. It's like, when it runs like that, that's where you got to have your strategies in place now on how you're going to take profit, what you're going to do with those profits to maximize, if there is, just like there can be that big run up, you got to think there's on the other side of that, it could just as fast come all the way back down to $2, $3 to find support. And imagine, I mean, I literally can see Twitter right now. If something like that happens where Algorand moons to 11, it comes all the way back down to 2, the amount of people who are going to be so mad if they didn't take any profit on the way up. I'm not going to let it happen this time.
Oh, I totally think it really could have a blow off top around 10 or 11 and come strikingly close to $2.5, $3 after that. So yeah, for sure, take profits when you see them, especially if it's incredible profits. Take them. You're like, there's no harm. Yeah, there's no exactly. Not all. You don't have to take all of it, but take some. Always leave a moon bag because you never know, it could keep going forever. But no one ever went broke by taking profits. So like,
right. You only get rich from that.
Exactly. I mean, if you want to see a couple more good things on Algorand TA, I'll show you real quick.
Let's talk about the NFTs also.
Yeah, let's talk about NFTs. I showed you guys this yesterday when we spoke, but obviously not the crowd. This is the MACD. It's been on this downtrend since about October 2021. It hit here, and got rejected. It broke through here, and we're having a retrace. And if it can claim this resistance line as support and bounce off of it, we're still maintaining a bullish structure. And I think we're going to do that, but all eyes are on that currently. And when we're seeing a similar thing right here with the RSI, where we had this trend line, this downtrend line from September 2021. We hit here and were rejected. We hit here and were rejected. And we broke right here. And we're coming back down, and we're landing close to this new trend line. And I'm hoping we hold this new trend line and create an uptrend instead of maintaining the downtrend that we were in before. But yeah, time will tell. There are certainly bullish signs that this retrace is perfectly healthy, and maybe a good time to load up. Not financial advice, of course, but that is what I'm seeing, and I've bought in probably like 8,000 Algorand over the last day or so.
Yeah. One of the commenters asked, "What's your favorite project coin in the Algo ecosystem at this time?"
At this moment, AlgoFi. In the future, potentially things like C3 protocol and anything else that can incorporate state proofs into an app.
Yeah, I'm with AlgoFi and Opolis. Though their platform's not out, I do have the token. But I'm pushing because I like that, and also Alchemon. I know that's not similar, but Alchemon is for sure my favorite NFT project.
Yeah. Talk to us a little bit more about that. I know you're more involved in the NFT space than both David and I are.
Yeah.
Yes. So Alchemon. So NFTs, that's my favorite project. I tested out the game beta about 2 days ago, and it works perfectly. You download the app on your desktop. You log in, you create a centralized account, which is just your email, verify that account, then you connect your wallet. And then the wallet pulls up all your Alchemon, all your coins. Then you pick your players, set your battle up, and you battle. I won my first battle and I won some Alki coin. You can then take that Alki coin, the tiny man, swap it out for algos or keep it or whatever you want to do. So real world utility. I mean, the game is basically just imagine Pokemon. It's like basically Pokemon on the blockchain. So it's amazing. And yeah, that just basically I'm like, wow, because I'm a futurist, so I'm like, okay, where can they go next? If they have successfully went from a confusing, I'll say it was very confusing at first. Like, what am I doing? I'm buying cars and I got to send them to hunting ground, send them to a random wallet address. Like, we don't have to do that type of stuff now. You can basically, I would just buy my Alchemon or get one of the shuffles, then you can go play. And then later, the person versus person will happen. Like we were trying to do a zone, David. We can then battle each other for tokens and stuff. So it's
so let me ask you this, because this has been one of my main hindrances and why I don't really invest a lot of my algos in NFTs. What's like, and I get it right now. Like, I don't mean to sound like I'm calling Algorand a cult-ish, and each cryptocurrency has its own cultish little following, and like they all got these games in them. But like, I think of, like you said, a futuristic, thing. Like, what's gonna, we already have Pokemon, right? It's a massive game. What happens when a lot of these, Web 2, I guess you could say, game developers start developing their games on Web 3, which are probably going to be way more polished, way fancier NFTs, 3D, like all kinds of crazy stuff that maybe some of these projects are limited and are not going to be able to achieve, whether for just development reasons, they got the funding, the money, whatever it is. And then, I get it. It can be fun now, and there could be some gains to be made in the short term. But my fear is what happens when the big game developers from the Web 2 world, move in and start to take over the Web 3 and creating, their own spins, or just even, advancing the things that are already there, like Pokemon. But then there's a Pokemon NFT series. Like, we saw Pokemon Go and how that like crazy, that whole craze went, and everybody was running around with their phones trying to catch them. And like, what's to stop them from doing something similar? And then, kind of the hype, I guess, dying down. That's my fear, I guess.
I'll say this, because if you follow Pokemon, do y'all remember Digimon?
Yeah, I remember. I mean, I never played it, but yeah, I remember it.
Xbox, we got PlayStation. There's going to be more. That's what I'm getting at. Like, yes, we need Microsoft or Pokemon, whoever, to do this, which all it does is help legitimize things like Alchemon. Whether Alchemon survives or not, I think it will. But I think overall, we just need everybody on blockchain. That's kind of what I'm pushing. So as I told Clifford too, I was like, watch out, because once you get popping enough, Microsoft will just buy you, right? They're into buying stuff that's already built. That's what investors are in this era of doing. Is like, why build if I can buy this guy and then blow his platform up?
Yeah. And that's where it could happen. Like I said, where these big Web 2 guys come into the Web 3 space and either build or buy out or whatever it is. I guess that's where my fear would be, is like, I don't want to invest too much of my capital, I guess, in things that, I mean, obviously everything is very,
Magic the Gathering. I think, and this is the part why I like Alchemon. Why I'm like, yes, I'm putting the entry price is 5 algos. We're not talking about Algorand. Shout out to them too, but we're not talking about 15,000, 100,000. We're talking about literally 5 algos. Like, you need 3 algos, 3 Alchemon, 5 algos.
But you also have to think, I mean, if you're going to use that logic, though, I mean, we obviously think that algo could go to $50, $100. I mean, those are the hopium, the long term. It's like, if Alchemon don't make it, then that becomes an expensive endeavor, I guess, especially if, because like when I play a game, I want to go all out on it, right? I want to, the whole idea, slogan behind Pokemon was you got to catch them all, right? I mean, how much is catching them all of Alchemon going to cost me?
I'll say this. This is why I like the blockchain. This is a good discussion. How often have y'all bought in-app purchases on games?
I would say when I was playing League, fairly consistent and being in on it, I would probably put maybe $20 a month in just RP.
How much did you earn and how much did you keep?
I mean, nothing,
Okay,
obviously. Yeah.
that's the
Yeah.
difference. Because here, there's value. Once you bored, put that list it. You can list your Alchemon. I'll buy it. You know what I mean? I go out and
Right.
randomly buy stuff like that. But so
Right.
that's the whole point and purpose is that just by playing, you're earning coins, real liquid money. You
Yeah.
also have an asset. No other thing is giving us that right now at this time, other than like I don't know if actually Affinity is even doing that. So it's
Yeah.
like that's what I'm seeing in the future is because of that value alone that it is better than other games. Slowly, I mean, as it
Right.
goes over time.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think GameFi in general will be big. I don't want to obviously say for certain if Alcemon or any specific one
Yeah,
will be the winner, but I will say I do understand David's concerns, and I do think that the gaming space that focuses more on the play to earn aspect and less on the game won't survive in the long run. Like there's a lot. There seem to be some games I don't necessarily know about Algorand in particular, but just in the blockchain space where it seems like a lot of the emphasis is on the earn and not on the game itself. And I really do think the game itself has to be good enough to sustain that long term. I don't think the earning aspect will be good enough to prop a game up for the long term.
Yeah. I
no,
mean,
because
that's
I
why
think
people got into that Elder Ring. I mean, everyone was playing it once it dropped, right? Because the gameplay,
Was
right? It was
fantastic. Yeah.
the videography, the cinematics in it, the detail. I mean, all that had to be there, and nobody was making money. You're spending money, to buy and to. I don't know if they have in-app purchases. I didn't play the game, but that's the whole idea. Is the gameplay has to come, and I feel like that's also where a lot of the play to earn and GameFi stuff is. It's trying to just raise money, right? With these coin launches and token launches and NFTs that they're selling, they're raising all the money on the front end with their sales to then build out the game as it goes on, and that's where I worry some of these may take so long to build a game that's that looks spectacular to play that by that time there's already going to be the big movers in the space and they may get overlooked. You know what I'm saying?
yeah,
That just goes back to the
very valid.
we are early, and you certainly, I mean, 90% of new businesses actually don't succeed. So this is the crypto space. So it's probably
Yeah.
even more than that aren't going to succeed. So, even if you see a project that looks promising, like Alchemon very well could be, just don't invest more than you can afford to lose for sure. Because, even if it is a great project, statistically speaking, a lot of new projects just fail, whether they're good or bad, really.
Yeah, I can agree with that. I think like again, like exactly with JT, don't invest what you can't lose because we still are in crypto, but in terms of NFTs again, the Algorand wallet update. How y'all feel about that?
I'm pretty excited about it. I mean, I do own a few NFTs. Obviously, none. Well, actually, I won the Alchemon from your giveaway, so I do have one
Hell yeah.
that is tied to a game. I have been following the Fractal NFT or Fractal Monsters. I'm in their Discord, and obviously, I don't follow it probably as close as I'd like to. Especially if getting early on some of these things can be huge. And obviously, Yieldly had their Cosmic Champs thing, so I know that there is utility and it's cool that with the Para Wallet app upgrade coming, that you can actually see your NFT.
It's live.
Yeah, yeah. And so you can see it as a 3D rotating thing, which obviously I feel like is the next step in onboarding more people into buying NFTs and trading them. Like it's like video games going from 2D to 3D. It's that next thing that like gets people hooked into buying them and trading them because then they look more shiny and they have more detail and they
Yeah.
pop when
Yeah.
and it's like trading cards back in the day. I mean, I used to play Yu-Gi-Oh! And obviously I used to have the Pokemon cards before it was like, the game I was playing. It's like that was
Yeah.
a
The
flex, right?
binders full of them.
Yep.
Yeah, yeah.
The
So it's gonna
foil,
happen. That's what's gonna be the way. Is you're gonna be, people are gonna be like, let me see your NFT wallet, and you're gonna be, scrolling through, showing them. I mean,
Yeah.
obviously, if you're rich enough and you got a Bored Ape and you're showing them that,
Showing
and
it. Yeah.
or if you're an Algorand and you got your Algoana or your Flemish Giants or whatever they are. I mean,
Flemish
there's
Giants,
cool,
yep.
yeah.
Have you two used it yet? Have you looked at any of the NFTs that you owned through the Para Wallet?
So you
put a
just said it
video
went
up.
live. I looked at it earlier, and actually, it still said coming soon. So I don't know if I need to
Some
go
of y'all
update.
wallets are not updated.
Yeah, check to see if you have an update in like the App Store or something.
All right, let me see.
I haven't actually used it yet. All of my NFTs that I do own, which is very minimal. Oh, look at that.
All right, let me go to the App Store.
It's
So wait,
hard-
so if you click on one, does it actually rotate?
Yeah, no, you gotta rotate it. Yeah, I'll show you. Look at that.
like drag it to rotate it.
Yeah, you click it.
Hey, there you go.
Yeah,
Oh, okay.
yeah. So that's next level, and then you know you got all the rest of them. But basically, what I've seen is because I check other blockchains. This is already happening on other blockchains. Algorand's a little
Yeah,
bit
yeah.
behind,
Yeah.
but I love this feature is next level. Like that is like if they can make my video one, I'm kind of mad. So Algorand, get at me. My video NFT did not play on here or not is in the collectibles. So add it to the collectibles. Let me know. But
All right, there we go.
yeah,
I got my Algo Gator from Decipher.
Oh, there you go.
Well,
my gator. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I think that feature there upgrades the wallet.
Yeah, it's cool.
Next level, I'm more bullish on NFTs only because I could see them on my phone now. Because I used to go to the NFT Explorer and ran gallery. Look at my NFT. That was dumb.
Yeah.
Now
Yeah.
I can wallet, you know.
Yeah.
And
yeah.
soon it's
No, I
gonna
know
be,
what you're
we're gonna
saying.
have our smartwatches because obviously we know Algorand's gonna be able to be powered on stuff like smartwatches.
Yep.
So you're gonna have your Pair wallet right there on your wrist, and it's gonna have a hologram projection. It's gonna come out, and it's gonna be like Star Wars.
With my NFT
Save
on
me,
it.
Obi-Wan. You're my only hope.
Yeah. But yeah,
Yeah.
that thing, I think next level. Then as soon as we get the decks, then I don't have to go to Tiny Man. I swap right on my app. I know you're gonna bring up DeFly.
Yeah, you're about to say you already have that with DeFly.
Yeah.
Yep. Yeah, I have technically I have 5 NFTs, but I made 4 of them just when I was trying to see like, how to create an NFT and just I think I made a video on it and whatnot. And then I also have my Decipher NFT, of course, if anyone wants to buy it, it's up on AB2 Gallery. JT invests in you. You'll be able to find it somewhere. And these 4 I actually made on some app. They're actually really interesting, but pretty cheap. 5 Algorand on all these ones, but except for the Decipher one. The Decipher one's way more. But Ryan was saying that JT owns NFTs. Never thought I'd see the day. It's like I do technically, but one was the Decipher ticket, and the other 4 are the ones I created. I've never bought an NFT.
All right, I want to ask you this because obviously, thinking about the Bitcoin conference, that's going on right now, right? And this is how many? I don't know if you guys even know, but how many years have they been doing the Bitcoin conference?
I think for a while now. I mean, it probably took a couple years to get going, but I think they've been doing it for a while.
So what are you guys planning on, just hold? Do you think there is a lot of value in holding the Algo Gator from the first ever Decipher conference? Do you think that's one day going to be worth like a lot of money?
I've gone back and forth about this, to be honest, because like there is a possibility that they could give perks to the people that held and never even like moved or sold their NFT to anybody. They could give perks to the first first movers, the OGs in the Algorand space. Maybe Decipher 5 or Decipher 10. Like there's like a OG perk to like the 10 people that still hold their original Decipher ticket. But
yeah,
I don't know. I mean, I would be okay if somebody bought my NFT, but I also would like if like next year they did announce it during Decipher that there was some like cool perk, I'd probably be like, damn, I wish I didn't sell that.
Right. I mean, because I'll be honest, when I first started buying them, that's the only reason I was buying NFTs was for the potential that it could possibly this artist could blow up and this NFT I was buying could be worth 10x what I bought it for.
Yeah,
and most people it's not the true because with Algo's price going down, you could have bought something for 500 Algo, and then now you'd have to sell it for almost 3,000 Algo to even get your investment back. So that's where it's kind of hard to see that. But obviously, if Algo just moons like crazy, you might be able to sell it for less Algo, but still pulling more money.
Yeah, see, I made I think I got 2 NFTs that I sold, and that was kind of what JT said, experiment. It's almost been a year now, but I am thinking about going back and providing some utility somehow because I want to do more NFTs. Basically, I think they're fun, and if you use them as like some type of access token, depending on what you got going on, I think that part is cool. I'm not into building a whole project because that's a whole business thing and all that. But like and token or access, that's something I'm highly considering as like my platform grows. You got to see will NFT tap in,
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, it's kind of like how Headline, I mean, someone was even asking about Headline, but it's kind of like how they have, you have to hold a certain amount of Headline tokens to be a part of their social media page or whatever it is. So maybe you have to hold a certain amount of will tokens or or whatever it is to access videos and stuff like that.
Exactly, and that's what I've been thinking for several months. Like, if we, later as the bag grows, we want to throw a party or something. I'll do an extra VIP only for my people. So stuff like
Yeah.
that is what I'm considering.
Yeah, I mean NFTs with utility are honestly really interesting. That's why it was pretty cool when Decipher decided to make the entry ticket in NFT, and you actually had to have have them look and make sure you had the NFT.
What if we get in free with our Decipher tickets next year or the next
Right.
year?
I doubt that.
That'd be the move.
I doubt they let
Discount.
they're gonna fund that event with our money, not theirs.
I know.
Hey, I mean, at least the Algorand Decipher event was far cheaper than the Bitcoin conference. Did you look at tickets to that? Like, oh my, it was outrageous how much money they were charging to get into that conference.
And it's funny too, because I went on to the Bitcoin conference thing. They had like day passes and stuff still alive, and the way to pay for it was in dollars. So I was like,
Yeah.
you'd think at the Bitcoin conference they'd not make you pay with Bitcoin, but you'd think it'd be like the main thing that they're advertising.
Yeah, at least an option.
But they're like, no, you don't pay in Bitcoin. You only hold it.
I know. They said, more Bitcoin transactions are happening in Miami. I saw on the news, like, people bought some boats, people bought a couple apartments, and
Wait, are they selling?
Look at this. You've got a GA pass for $1,100. You've got an industry pass for $2,500. You have a whale pass for $21,000.
What is a whale pass? What does that even mean?
It's just a way for you to brag that you got way more money than everybody else, I guess. Dude, honestly, it's absurd. I considered going, but I was like, to go to a Bitcoin conference for like over $1,000 for your cheapest pass. Like, no, thank you. That's all right. What's included for $21,000? Access to the Bitcoin 2022, premium food and beverages. Oof, that must cost a lot.
It better be premium. I better be getting a steak every meal for dinner.
Hey, $20,000. That's a private island price. So
reserved front row seating. Like, wow, that's pretty dope.
You're talking about people who,
dude.
This is to them. This is like spending
VIP golf cart rides. I'm in. $21,000. I'm in.
Right.
I'm in.
Yeah, this is like spending $200, $20 to them, so they're not even worried about it.
Yeah, those are for the people that bought Bitcoin in like 2012.
Yeah. Which, hey, Algorand, I feel like it's not gonna balloon to thousands upon thousands per algo, but it will have I feel like a Solana type run once. Hopefully, heck, I hope it's this year. I hope the marketing that Stacey and the foundation have put forward really, bring the attention, bring the eyes, get some big name people to start promoting it, whatever you got to do, because at this point, Algorand has performed the worst out of all layer ones.
Hey, it's down 100% from a year ago.
Yeah.
If it was down 100%, wouldn't it be zero?
No. Well, 90%, whatever the hell that was. Because it was like at 250 a year ago. Now it's at what, 80, 60? So is that about 100?
But still, it's like, it's performed the worst, even though it has superior tech. Like, how is Solana that it literally has downtime where literally people, imagine just waking up wanting to go check your Algorand and like move stuff around and be like, oh, the network's down. I can't do anything today.
13 hours. Yeah.
And imagine if you got a lot of money on there. Like, that would freak me the heck out to know that, like, maybe I wake up and I can't touch my, the money I have invested. It's like, how is something like that ranked in the top 10?
I'll tell you,
Algorand is sitting at 30 right now.
I'm on another blockchain I'm using right now. I got money stuck on it because exactly what you just said. It's frozen right now.
Which one?
It's Juno. It's
one of the Cosmos.
Yeah.
So I guess you could say. Yeah.
Yes, Cosmos IBC. So it's all bad right now to like have that feeling of like I got thousands I can't touch, move, or do anything.
Yeah. I mean, I felt that way even when I had ETH. It was so much of ETH, and I still have a lot of things built on ETH sitting on my ledger that I'm not touching because right now it still costs way too much, in my opinion, to move off of. So it's just going to keep sitting there. And obviously, I hope the investment turns out and those things still moon. But still, it's like Algorand needs to do something this year and take advantage of this run that hopefully we're all about to see. Because if it doesn't, then I mean, it's just a big opportunity missed.
I had a ETH transaction take like 3 weeks once, and I was just like, this is really absurd. I mean, I definitely was cheap, and I tried to like not pay as much gas as it said. I was like, no, this is absurd. I was like, if I pay less, it I mean, I can wait an hour or two, no big deal. I had no idea it was going to take freaking like 3 weeks, dude. I was cool with being patient. I was like, I got all day. I don't need this money right now. Like, I'll pay less in fee if it takes a couple hours. Like, no big deal. It took 3 weeks. I was like, Jesus Christ, what's
Right.
happening?
And some of these transactions literally fail, and you still have to pay the
Oh yeah,
the
you'd
gas
still lose
fee.
the fee.
Wasn't
Yeah,
it like the Bored Ape, or when they were minting the ape coins or something, or
No, it was I know what's her name, Mila Kunis.
and
They had
Ashton
like
Kutcher.
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
they
yeah,
launched their like stoned cats or something like that,
yeah,
or
and
whatever.
the
Yeah,
amount of
millions of dollars
transactions.
worth of lost just like fees because the
And the thing is, it's
transactions
like
failed.
the funny thing is, and this is why I've been I called Ethereum a scam in one of the discords and got some heat on it.
Excuse me, y'all.
Yeah, you're good. But
Oh,
this is why I caught a lot of heat from saying something like that, is because it's not lost. That money is not lost. That money is all going to pay the validators of Ethereum's network. That's what's happening. And that's the reason why, I just can't get behind, Ethereum as a whole, because it's kind of like Bitcoin in the fact that it's helping the people all the way at the top make more off of the unsuspecting people and the people who don't really know much getting in and just trying to use it on a daily basis.
yep. And I mean, we're probably reaching the point where we can wrap it
Yeah.
up, but I do just want to say that although I think that at least part of this year could be really good for the market, I do think there's a pending and looming recession that's coming
Yeah. You
for
should.
all markets overall. So people shouldn't discount the fact that we very well could soon be entering a multi-year bear market. And it totally well could happen. And I think
Honestly, I would pull that up. The inverted. I forget what thing you were talking about that's kind of flagging that makes you think that, but that's something that I
Oh,
feel like a lot of people.
it's the 2 year and 10 year yield curve inversion. Anyone can go check it out real quick. I don't have the graphics right here. Oh, C Will's back.
Sorry
Perfect.
about that, y'all.
Oh, dude, you're good. But yeah, the 2 year and 10 year yield curve inversion has been about 80% accurate since like the 50s in predicting a recession, and it did just invert. And usually the recessions hit 6 to 18 months after the inversion. So
Question real quick.
if that remains 80% accurate, then we might have one coming.
Which would make
Define
sense if you
recession
hit a
for me.
blow off top.
Yep.
Define recession. Like what is that? I think I asked you this before, but what exactly is a recession going to do in terms of the economy, prices, and things
I
like
mean,
that?
it's just short term, like bearish, really. I mean, recessions aren't as bad as depressions, but they're not good for
How
things.
much
I
of it
mean,
is there like a is
capital
there,
usually flees to safer investments, whether it's just like holding cash or even bonds that are yielding less than inflation just because it's safer and preserving their capital. I mean, they're usually short term and short lived because a recession, like I said, aren't as bad as depressions. I mean, we've had plenty of recessions since the 50s, and we're still chugging along fine as a nation, and we will continue to do so. So it's just like a short term blip. I mean, we live in a boom and bust economy, and sometimes things boom, sometimes things bust, and I think we're on the one of the ends of that cycle.
That makes sense.
I was gonna say, if a correction on like the S&P or whatever is like less than 20%, that would be considered a correction. More than 20% is a crash. Like, is there a level at which it's a recession kick? It's like technically called that, or is it just kind of like more or less just like the overall macroeconomics?
I think a recession more refers to GDP growth and two like negative quarters of GDP growth or something like
Okay.
that. But yeah, I mean overall, it's not a good sign for the economy in general because especially risk assets, people flee risk assets when they hear recession and move into whether it be bonds, cash, or even just safe S&P funds or something like that.
Well,
I think there was only one last quick question I think I had just for you guys. I know I know we're over an hour, so
No,
obviously
that's whatever.
People who are still hanging out with us, much appreciated.
Yeah,
Obviously,
of course.
I'm sure we have people who are also just jumping in at the end. One thing I woke up this morning, Coinbase sent me an alert saying that a certain crypto was available for trading, and I want to get your all's thoughts on this because I saw someone say, I am good with Algorand not being popular right now. It allows them to get state proofs, 10,000 transactions per second, et cetera, going. Then when everything else is failing, Algo will look amazing.
It
And
will,
obviously,
and we can accumulate.
Right. I am super excited for, the technology that Silvio has created with zero knowledge proofs, right? And the ability for, contract calling and all this stuff, that C3 protocol and everything, where Algorand could be used as the base layer for transactions being settled. But the coin that came up on Coinbase today, let me pull it up real quick because I actually bought some just so I didn't lose it, just like a small little amount. Mina. So and obviously I didn't know much about it, but I read it and it said, Mina is a cryptocurrency that powers that powers Mina protocol, a layer 1 blockchain that aims to be lightweight, privacy preserving, and easily verifiable. Developers on Mina can build privacy preserving smart contracts and decentralized applications based on zero knowledge proofs. So you're seeing Ethereum start to dabble, even with Polygon. Polygon, the way it's scaling is with zero knowledge proofs. You're seeing this thing built on Ethereum now be able to, I guess, be a side chain to help with zero knowledge proofs. Is Algorand going to take too long before Ethereum just tries to solve all these things? Or, kind of like you said at the very beginning, JT, do you see this merge and Ethereum just crumbling, and then and only then is like the light going to come on Algorand and everybody going to see exactly what it's got?
Well, I guess there's two things real quick. Because first, the merge, even if it's successful, isn't going to be the panacea everyone hopes it's going to be. It's not even going to solve the gas fee problems. The gas fees will still be ridiculous, which is kind of absurd. Like, what's the point of the merge if it's not going to solve one of the biggest issues? That being said, I don't know if anyone listened to the most recent interview that Adriana Bellotti did with Silvio just recently for Blockchain Australia Week. He was talking about a privacy layer for Algorand that they are building in the works currently. So, in my opinion, Algorand's going to be the blockchain for everything. Like, it's going to have the privacy layer chain. It's going to be the interoperability chain with state proofs. It's there. I don't see much of a reason to need many of these other chains with what Algorand already has and has in the works. So, I don't know. I mean, it's good to have competition in the space, but
obviously, the Algorand Foundation believes the same. She made a tweet, the last.
Well, they're paid to say those things too, though. I mean,
but still, I mean, it's
you got to take it. Oh, for sure. I mean, obviously, she's got to root for the thing she's the CEO of, but you got to, and I fully believe her. But you certainly have to take anybody on the inside. Like they have a bias for sure.
Right, and I was more going to say about her thinking that no matter what, with other chains and whatnot, everything could one day still be settling on Algorand because of the tech that's there. That even if it looks like, Polygon or Solana or Avalanche is this great, amazing thing, there's still maybe a lot going on underneath the surface that, maybe people who aren't really plugged in aren't going to notice, but the people who are see, what's actually happening.
I think the future is bright, even if even if this year isn't a green year. I mean, people got to remember that some years there are red years. I mean, it is what it is. Even things that are in a macro uptrend have negative years sometimes. I mean, Amazon had a 90% drop at one point in its history, and look at it now. So I don't know. I just wouldn't be too concerned about the short-term price action. If you are concerned about the bearish short-term price action, build up a stablecoin position, deleverage yourself a little bit, do what you can to make it so you have a cushion and are, able to ride out the bearish market stress-free, able to dollar cost average in if you choose to. But certainly I just don't be too concerned over short-term price action. That's for sure.
Yeah. So Brandon, Walter, what kind of liquidation risk can you incur if you stake your algo and AlgoFi governance? Then use the V-algo to purchase other ASAs? Question.
I mean,
if you are just putting your Algorand into a vault for governance, there's no liquidation risk. If you start borrowing off of that money that you put in the vault, then you have a liquidation risk depending on what you borrow, how much you borrow, and what you do with it. There are so many variables that it's hard to give you a direct answer on what the risk is, because you could borrow a stable coin, which is a less risky asset, or you could borrow more Algorand, which obviously if you supply and borrow Algorand, there's very little risk of a liquidation. But there are so many ways you could structure your borrows that could make it more or less risky. So it's pretty hard to give a direct answer to that.
Yeah. And also
always don't borrow is the easiest way.
Yeah, don't over borrow.
Especially on a bull run, because that's when I feel like, especially because everything is so new to Algorand, I feel like a lot of people might get burned if we see another big run, because early, last run, we didn't have these, all these protocols to be able to do it so easy. But with it being one click away where you can borrow and then literally you don't even have to leave the platform. You can borrow USDC, swap it for algo, supply it, and then you see your amounts increasing. You can borrow more. I mean, you could quickly get into a cycle where you've way over leveraged yourself, especially on a bull run. And then if that thing turns south fast, you're going to get liquidated faster than you know what to do with, and it could put a really sour taste in your mouth. So I feel like you do tons of research on, you know, margin on just trading with margin and leverage and stuff like that before even touching, you know, borrowing anything.
Yeah, and you know, not everyone wants to do it, but you know, maybe sit down and just do a little bit of math and play around, like, you know, supply and borrow something, and then just take a pen and paper and be like, what would happen if the price of this asset went like down 60%, and then chart it out and see, or, you know, do the math and figure out if you'd still be above water or if you'll be under collateralized at that point, and do the same thing in reverse. Like what happens if these tokens like quadruple in price? You know, do the math real quick and just make sure on all of the extremes that you'll still be over collateralized, because once you reach a point where you're either at or under collateralized, they're liquidating your entire stash.
And the thing is, like, that's why how you saw just a couple of days ago when Bitcoin had the big movement down, 400 and something million liquidations happened across the most popular exchanges, and even one of them showed one person like got liquidated $4 million. Like,
and that doesn't even show all of the DeFi liquidations. So like what they could track across centralized exchanges, it was like you said, like $400 million of liquidations.
Yeah.
You add DeFi, I'd bet there's probably $500-600 million worth of liquidations the other day, just because people, you know, borrow more than they should, or, you know, a little bit too risky. I mean, I love AlgoFi. I love these platforms. I think they're very needed in the space, but I also think that people really should watch a couple of videos, you know, read a couple of things, and just start out small before they dive too deep. You know, you don't want to dive in. You don't want to dive into the deep end before you've ever swam in the pool before, you know?
Yeah. And know that this diving into the deep end, what that means, I feel like, is you're not battling against just other people. I mean, you are, like, other, you know, people who are trading, but you're also battling against algorithms and computers that literally can take all this data, put it all together, know exactly where, you know, maximum pain is and where profit can be made. And bots can trade massive amounts of crypto to make the market do exactly what it needs to do. Even one of the guys that's in the Algorand community, because you're bored, you know, he was posting yesterday some charts showing that, like, you know, it came exactly right where Algo needed to come to, you know, liquidate some people. And it happens, you know, it's not not science, but, you know, these computers are smarter than us. So you got to be careful.
The thing is, with transparent blockchains, I mean, there is that data out there, so somebody can see where all these liquidation points could be, and market manipulators really could, you know, pump or dump certain prices to hit certain points. I mean, it unfortunately happens a lot, especially when you're working with a lot of capital. But I just want to answer Brandon's question real quick before we sign off, and he is asking, is the algo locked for 90 days, or can you pull it at any time? And whether you're doing governance the traditional way through just your wallet and interacting with the Algorand governance, or whether you're doing it through AlgoFi Vault or Folks Finance or whatever, you do need to keep it in the wallet or in the vault for that 90-day period in order to be eligible for the rewards. But if you do need access to it, you can access them and take the Algorand out. You just won't get your governance rewards at the end of the period. So to be eligible for the governance rewards, you absolutely need to, quote unquote, lock them for 90 days. And it's a soft lock, meaning you can move them if you need to, but they do need to stay there for 90 days for the period, and you do need to vote to be eligible for the rewards.
Yep.
On that note, is there anything else anyone wants to say before we get out of here? It's been about an hour, 20 minutes. It's been a great session.
Yes, it has been a great session. Thank y'all for all who have been tapping in with us. We definitely doing this more weekly.
Yep. I'll go to the moon.
Yeah, we appreciate everyone that's tuned in, everyone that's hit up our comment feed. And if you haven't done so already, go subscribe to the Passive Income Network. Go subscribe to Crypto for Changes channel, and subscribe to my channel if you haven't done so already. And smash that thumbs up button too.
Heck yeah.
All right, guys, we'll catch you in the next one. See you later.
See you, everybody.